Hello, folks, and welcome back to the Friend or Foe series. I am your friendly neighborhood shotcaster, Sharogan, and I have joining me on the caster's desk the one who was once lost but is now found.
Yeah, it's good to be here. Jesus, the joke never gets old. But yeah, I love being involved with Blue Bayou games, and now that they're going up against Team Azores, we know that both these teams have been struggling a bit. I think Blue Bayou hasn't been able to take out the top teams like they've been wanting to, and Team Azores is not performing as well as they may have been expecting when they were on the upswing. So I'm really excited to see what's going to happen today.
Yeah, I'm super stoked for this one. I think it's going to be a really, really exciting matchup. Team Azeroth is always playing those scrappy fights, and I'm really liking the fact that they've just kind of stuck with it. And then on Blue Bayou's side, we do have basically like their full lineup. They were able to get Jaffe in today, so we should be seeing that Camille or that Aurelia, hopefully. I would just really enjoy that. So I think that's going to be really exciting. And then we can already see by looking at these picks and bans right here, they're taking away a lot of power from TAS on the side on their side by getting rid of that Camille and that Samira. So this was some hard engaged champs. We haven't seen TAS play, but at the same time, getting them taken out of the lineup, always a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely, and I really think that Team Azores needs to focus a lot more on what Red is going to do. He's been very binary in his champion pool so far. He's been playing basically the basic mages. Hasn't really pulled out any assassins. Especially since he's a recent swap over. His pool probably is that deep. So hopefully that's where Team Azores is going to look to pinch because Hismi has been one of the bigger stars of Team Azores, consistently playing quite well.
Yeah, no, Red is definitely going to be something that they have to watch out for. We've seen him pull out the Rise and the Twisted Fate, both of which were doing pretty well. Although I think it was his Kog'Maw game that actually had the most success, and so we might see that again, but it's all dependent on the comp that Team Azeroth picks up. I do like this initial draft for the bot lane for Blue Bayou, where they're pretty confident picking that Aphelios Nautilus down there. Definitely a lot of hard scaling, a lot of late game going to be coming from that. And at the same time, we have a Fiora pickup for Jaffe, which is not something that we've seen him play yet, but I am always excited to see him on these champs that are just like hard engaged, dueling back and forth. And against a Shen, it's going to be a little tricky, but at the same time, should be fine.
Yeah, absolutely, very much. So Fiora was a traditional counter pick into Shen. She punishes very, very hard if Shen chooses to teleport out. Fiora is one of the fastest tower takers into the game. So if you do use that ultimate early on, Fiora punishes very hard, and she just 1v1s extremely hard against Shen later on. At 2 items, Shen basically can't win anymore and will die even under the tower if it gets really, really bad. So I like Jaffe taking that angle. Definitely a good counter pick, and it just leaves them room in their draft for them to get a good mid lane counter pick also. So really smart on the Blue Bayou looking to go into that direction early.
Yep, you just got to play around that Spirit Bill so because it'll negate all of your auto attack damage. But you're exactly right; takes a lot of damage onto those towers. I do like this Xayah Rakan pickup. It's not a common pairing just because there are so many other supports that tend to pair really well with Xayah. However, you do have that extended range on the shield, so it will allow Onbo to kind of go off, shield his allies, and then jump back to Xayah. She's on the back line if he goes in too deep. Should be really useful in that sense. And then we have the Rammus pickup. I always forget that they changed Rammus's ult. I keep thinking he still has tremors, but no, he's got this jumping ball thing where he just lands on your face, knocking you up.
Yeah, unfortunately, it hasn't made Rammus more useful, but he is still a
Oh, I
champion who's very
disagree
good
on
into.
that.
Again, he's very good into AD sources. The Wukong, the Xayah, very strong into those type of champions. So I do like the angle. He's also extremely simplistic, so it never hurts too bad to have a champion in that moves in that direction. And I'd like what Blue Bayou has selected up to here. Something very easy, something that is definitely within their wheelhouse to execute.
It is. I do want to say I like this Lissandra pickup because there's so many members on the side of BBZ that have a really hard engage that you can just negate with the Frozen Tomb and kind of lock them in place or keep yourself alive if necessary. Lots of early aggression coming out from the side of TAS as they just try to walk over them, but B tries getting himself caught out. Unfortunately, he's going to have 4 members of BBZ just kind of chasing him down, and that is going to be first blood going over to Jaffe, which is the wrong person to be getting it.
Yeah, first blood to the Fiora onto the Shen. Very, very bad for a Wukong matchup. Fiora is very strong into Wukong. She can sometimes suffer if Wukong does manage to get a lead, but Fiora being ahead is really, really good for the split push rush. Is I do wonder if Jaffe is going to look to go into that hall breaker angle, or if he's going to try to build more for a team fight efficient Fiora.
Considering he's not going to be up against the Shen, he might go for more of a dueling, like, kind of build would be my expectation, just because he knows that he's going to be fighting against this Wukong early on, so probably go a little bit harder damage early. I do like that we're seeing the River Shen coming out right here, though it's not the true River Shen, because he does have Flash, so... Flash and Smite.
Yeah, he definitely is intending to do a little bit more than just sit in the river and then gank constantly. Hopefully Shen didn't suffer too much. Honestly, I haven't seen Shen in quite a while, so the recent changes to the jungle maybe somewhere he's in the ballpark of being decent changes for him, because he didn't like the full clear anyway. But he's definitely going to be really slow on the clear, but he's into a Rammus, so it's not going to be as punishing.
No, exactly. He's not quite as punishing. Good dash out by Anbo in order to try and get himself keep from taking too much damage.
Yeah, not too much early. The spot lane from Ambo and Good, them getting pushed in early is the expectation, so nothing really too bad there. Rakan struggles really heavily into Nautilus though, so it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to navigate this, as Orphic can continually look for these hooks.
He's going to keep on looking for those. I think, look up here in the top lane, K1ZZ getting a lot of damage, having to flash away from the riposte in order to keep him going down. Good job by Jaffe in order to get the massive double auto attack.
Yeah, well done. And Jap is going to be in a bit of trouble here. I mean, no, I'm sorry. K1 is going to be in a bit of trouble here. That is a really low Wukong. Rammus is coming up, and Shen is not going to be there for quite a while. So he's going to need to make sure he doesn't get dived, because losing all those minions is really, really bad for Wukong early.
Yeah, the Rammus probably isn't going to be looking to dive anytime soon, but I do like this early fight by Dax as he's going in on B-Try. He's basically trying to disrupt this clear. Really well done. He does beat the Shen early with that damage. It's just so gross. So that is going to put BBZ really far ahead just in terms of overall momentum.
Yeah. So I have no words for Rammus beating the Shen that hard on the floor here, and even invading the red and finding a kill.
Look at this Anbo getting exceptionally low. He's going to be hit by the Riptide, and he is going to go down. Gua trying to stay alive, throwing out those feathers, not quite able to do it. Nice lockdown by Tef with the Gravitum. And that's going to be a... honestly, I feel like Gua should probably just straight up back here. That's going to be the TP coming out from K1ZZ, but at the same time, really bad timing, because we've already got Dax still up here. He just cleared out the Gromp. And you were talking about the Shen clear earlier. Shen does really well on the single target camps, but it's going to be these multi-monster camps like Raptors, Wolves. Wolves he can kind of clear okay, but Gromp, or Krugs. It's really tough until you pick up something like a Tiamat or a Kindle Gem, just because you need that extra damage.
Absolutely, and you got to give credit to Dax. It was really intelligent to go for that invade.
Ooh, good parry coming out from Jaffe, getting a lot of damage off, hitting those vitals, getting a nice lunge. Just look at that. Oh, man, K1ZZ has got to back away. One more vital hit, and he's going to go down.
Jeez, Jaffe's is barely missing out on these kills. He could have just flash hit the vital and probably taken it, but he does know Rammus is still on the side of the map, and Wukong's kind of locked in jail right now. So going for the safer kill angle, I would expect, as here's the dive coming.
Here we go. We've got the dive coming from the Rammus. He knows that he's got the tank. He can take it off, but that's going to be a flash coming up against K1ZZ. But the blade work is just going to be too much for him to handle.
Yeah, and this is really, really bad for the side of Azor. If Rammus getting ahead, he's one of the better tower divers in the game. He gets so much free armor from his Powerball passive, so yeah, it's not going to look good in this top side. That's a lot of minions missed over by Wukong, and he doesn't have teleport up, so this gank bot side is going to need to do something, but it looks like Beitai's not going to have any real angle.
Jaffe just longs for a worthy opponent, and unfortunately, he's not going to find it. In the bot lane, we've got another fight going on down right here. Anbo getting a nice knock up with the grand entrance onto Orphic. Orphic's ignited. He is going to go down. That is a good engage by TAS, trying to get something back in this game. Tef just getting some shots off, getting the Infernum spread, hitting them on that back line. He's just going to clear out some of these minions now and kind of just step away. And I think that's probably going to finish off the engage right there. Good job on TAS to try and get themselves back into this, though.
Yeah, well done on the side of Ambo and Gua, landing the feathers, making sure the root
nice poke, and unfortunately, that's going to be a rooted Gua. A nice knock-up coming out that's going to get flashed away by Tef. BBZ Red has already come down. Talia has locked them in. This is a fight where there is nowhere for Taz to go. Two members of them are very, very low. That is going to be BBZ Orphic picking up the kill on that as he takes down the Rakan, and that is going to be a double kill as Rammus takes down the Lissandra and the Xayah. And this is going to be an easy Drake pickup.
This is just a fantastically well-played team game right now. They're consistently finding these advantages, utilizing the jungle and mid and the global ultimate of this Taliyah. So, you're guessing the Wind Soul?
I'm calling for the Cloud Soul.
Well, I think it could be. I'm thinking it would be probably Earthed if Riot wants to make this game completely unwinnable for Team Azores, but at least on the side of what's been going on so far. I've noticed Red has been really indexing into these global mid-lane champions.
Good job by Red, getting a nice knockup. Lots of damage on that Taliyah. And then over here in the top lane, we've got K1ZZ trying to duel with Jaffe, and I'm afraid you just can't do that. The blade work is just too strong, and that is going to be a kill again, and the heals, so that is just an easy wave push for Jaffe.
Yeah, absolutely. That is really, really sad for the side of K1. Jaffe won that even though his riposte really didn't find anything, and that was a double knockup, all the damage coming out from the Wukong, but this Fiora is just too far ahead.
Fiora is way too far ahead, exactly. And you just can't stand up to that challenge. In the meantime, in the bot lane, we've got more damage coming out. The Dax jumping in there, trying to get the knockup. He just misses, though. Gua trying to do some damage, but those feathers are just not strong enough. They just kind of bounce off of that turtle shell, and he's going to go down. This is now a 9-1 game and a 5K gold lead.
Yeah, BBZ is trying to wrap it up early, but it looks like... Yeah, this is really, really bad. For
the baited back right there.
Yeah, he needs to be concerned. He doesn't have a lot of mana. K1 can do a decent amount of damage if he does get a strong trade, but it looks like Jaffe is going to be taking his recall. Lissandra was moving up, so he's not going to be punished for the BM that he was just distributing, but... Yeah, this bot side is now getting punished consistently. That's where Dax keeps looking.
Dax is just going to keep on looking at this bot side because he knows that Jaffe can just duel his way out of anything up in the top lane, and in the meantime, it allows him to just kind of free roam in that bot side jungle. He's going to walk over the ward and just kind of leave it. I feel like they're like just kind of like he walks over the ward and is like, I'm going to let them know I'm here and see what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's all in here. Looks like Jaffe is going to go.
Yep, this is an all-in that Jaffe can easily take. He is going to take a couple of tower shots and decide to just back off instead of chasing all the way under tower. He is going to allow K1ZZ to back if he so chooses, but that is going to be the TP down for probably another 25 seconds or so. It's got a quarter of its timer left. And then at the same time, we've got this fight going on here in the mid lane. Red doing a really good job just kind of maintaining it. He's got the nice CS score, which he's just gotten one more, so it's not nice anymore. And unfortunately, I'm seeing that TAS is going to be struggling quite greatly.
Absolutely.
And this is going to be a dive right here, I think, from Jaffe's perspective. Like, he wants to go in on this. He is going to get a nice riposte off. The Grand Challenge is out, so that means he's got a lot of vitals which he can proc, and it's going to be perfectly fine for him to take this fight. Right there, he goes on a rampage. Shen in the top lane is going to get the shutdown, and that was really well done by TAS, baiting that dive out as they knew that he just wanted to fight. And then in the bot lane, we're going to be seeing a hook fly out here in 3, 2, 1. There it is, and it's just going to go wide.
Yeah, good dodge on the side of Gua, but I'm glad I didn't caster curve Jaffe. I was just about to commend his discipline because he's been playing extremely disciplined, not
hook
dodging
comes
when he
out, does manage to pick it up. We got a fight going on right here. Lissandra Hismi coming down to give them some aid. We have the Claw coming out, but that is going to be a root onto the Nautilus. Nautilus is going to be the one to go down. Hismi's going to take down Orphic, and that is going to leave Tef alive. Doing a really good job on this Aphelios, just keeping him 1-0-4, so he's able to basically just free farm whenever his support dies. I think that, honestly, that's the position BBZ wants this bot lane.
Yeah, that has to be where they want the CS disadvantage. Is going in the side of Gua, so he's doing a better job at that, and now Hismi's in trouble.
Right here in the mid lane, Hismi being punished for that dive. He is going to try to go under the tower, but he's going to walk right into Dax, and that's going to be Red getting the rock throw out to pick up that kill. And it looks like there was a fight in the bot lane that got the TAS side very, very low to where they were almost 2v1. And then in the top lane, Jaffe's just continuing this duel. He doesn't really care about the minion aggro right now. He's just going in on this. He's fighting K1ZZ. K1ZZ is just trying to hit him with that stick, but it's just bonking him, and it's not doing anything.
Yeah, as I was saying, I was going to give Jaffe his credit for being extremely disciplined in this game. He's made very few mistakes overall, and he's not diving, playing over aggressive. He's respecting the Shen ultimate the majority of the time, other than that last dive, where he did still trade a kill. And honestly, Wukong lost all the CS, so it's still in Fiore's advantage in the pure 1v1. But yeah, this is really punishing for the side of K1. He's not going to have any avenue to farm for until this wave gets in, and then he's going to be under threat from a Rammus coming and just diving him.
Exactly, and this is a great freeze by Jaffe. He set up the field exactly how he wants it. He's not going to be dueling in any way that's not to his advantage. This is going to be an easy Drake pickup, as there's just no way for TAS to contest it. Parry's coming out right there as K1ZZ tries to get the damage off, but he's not going to be able to. He's almost threatening this dive, but it's really, he doesn't have the damage to take on Jaffe at all. So you just look at this. Grand Challenge is out. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. Jaffe taking him down as he hits all those vital procs. And that is just absolutely disgusting. He's going to heal up completely now. And then Dax, in the meanwhile, is on this bot lane, just basically trying to get them to shove this wave in. They're fighting under tower with no minions on this side of the map.
Yeah, and now Gu and Ambu are going to have to run. They know that that Tilly is there with ultimate available, and she's still looking.
Whoa. Good job putting down the field and the knockup onto B-Try, getting a lot of damage off so he's not able to continue this engage. He's going to have to smite the Gromp, which means that there's no smite available during this tower or dragon take, which means it's going to be completely for free for the side of BBZ. And now look at this, K1ZZ trying to keep on fighting Jaffe.
Yeah, no, there's no way he gets that one with no ultimate available. Fiore's just going to walk it out nice and easy. But here, this is the bot lane now in trouble.
Bot lane going to be in trouble. We got the Nautilus hook thrown out. He does hit the wall, but he gets knocked up by the Grand Entrance. That was a really interesting interaction with the flashes. He's not able to do it. We got the Aphelios ulti coming down, and that is going to be a lot of damage from the Infernum as it just spreads everywhere, lighting everything on fire. B-Try is getting absolutely shredded as well. And we have Hismi coming down to join this death market, and unfortunately, he's just going to get knocked back towards them, and he's going to give over the double kill to Tef, and that is just absolute shred coming out from the side of Blue Bayou Zoo.
Yeah, B-Try's ultimate took him into his own depth, trying to save his teammate. But frankly, he lived just long enough to bring the shed in so he could also perish. And this is a bunch of gold. This could easily be a 10-tower play game also. Yeah. Actually, it's 13 minutes, so it's going to run out in this short period of time. It looks like they're not going to be able to get it, but this is way too many kills given over early. And fantastic early game from BBZ. This is something they used to be extremely proficient at, and I'm glad to see them bring it back out.
They have clipped the wings of Team Asorth this game, and unfortunately, there's probably not near enough time for them to start flying.
It's not enough time for them to start flying. Hopefully they do still have them angles back into the game. Wukong still is an effective team fighter, even from behind. If they can find some backliners, find this Aphelios, find this Talia where they're not able to defend themselves. But there's a lot of self-kill tools already collected up, especially with the Everfrost being built on the Talia. That makes it very difficult to dive onto her from either direction. So it's going to be rough, but there's still angles of possibility for Team Adverse.
There's always an angle. This game isn't over till the Nexus explodes. That was a decent amount of damage coming out from Teth as he's got the Chakram running around. Severum doing the work, but at the same time, we've got Rammus already here, ready to say hello. He jumps in, trying to get a shot off. The Root's going to come out onto two members of BBZ as they manage to lock down Dax and Tef, but they're still in range of those auto attacks, so Gua's going to get completely decimated. That poor Zaya just does not have a prayer. We have the TP coming out from Fiora as she returns to the top side instead of continuing this fight in the bot lane, just basically trying to shut down K1ZZ completely as this bot tower is going to fall, which means that all of the pressure now is pushing into Taz's side on this bot side, which means that the top tower just has only probably, I'd say, 2 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to give notion, this is a visual bug that the Fiora ultimate has been causing, where it seems like K1ZZ always has the passive on there, but here's an all-in.
Look at that, nice and all in right there. Grand Challenge is going to come out. You're seeing Jaffe jump in on all of these. One more Vital will do it, and that's going to get him the healing zone, so he is completely fine. Doesn't matter if this fight continues. B-Try tried to give some assistance, but Red was already there, zoning him off with the Talia, and unfortunately, they're just going to be chasing this man through the jungle. It's really not where you want to be getting chased by a Talia, because she's just going to rock slide everywhere. I mean, she's surfing along these walls. There's just way too much movement speed. And that's going to allow BBZ to have total control of this top side of the map now. And there is very little left that TAS has any kind of a hold on.
Yeah, absolutely, and also Telia does get a lot of advantage in terrain because of how her passive works. The more she can move forward, the less she's in worked ground, and the more cues she can throw out. But frankly, at this point, it doesn't really matter. There's too much pressure coming out from Team BBZ. Gu's on this bot side trying to take this tower, but he's most likely not going to get it before another tower falls. And there's with this numbers advantage that they have, this is going to easily be a secure on the Rift Herald, and opening up a Rift Herald to at this point in the game where you're this far ahead could easily just be an inhibitor or the game if a good team fight land.
Yep, and we got this Rift Herald that's going to fall down here shortly. I do want to look at these CS scores. We are seeing 2 members of Team Azeroth are already at over 100 CS, and it's keeping even with the side of BBZ. So they've been farming okay. Unfortunately, there's just so many kills on the side of BBZ that this gold lead has absolutely swung in their favor. It is now at 10K, and there's very little that TAS is able to do when getting hit in the face with these wallets. I mean, just look at this. So much is coming out from the side of BBZ that TAS just can't respond to because there's too much damage, too much resistances on the side of BBZ that they just get completely decimated. Ram is jumping over the wall, trying to keep this fight going, leaving that zone right there. And they're basically just able to walk into these fights and walk out without having to care in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. 2 ultimates used onto the Rammus. Didn't even take him past half HP. And at this point now, this is the Wukong control when he's shit gone.
That! Oh!
Yeah, Talia is still as one-shot as she's always been. And Jaffe gets a good stun with the parry. But this Ghoul's going to need to be careful. This Fiora can easily one-shot him.
Yeah, no, it's just like the that seismic shove and the field unraveled earth is just so good. Like Telia is able to get so many procs off of it. Finally, we're seeing a shutdown on this Fiora as Gua is reaching the point on Xayah where she's able to just get such massive damage from these feathers. But at the same time, the Fiora death is just going to mean that the dragon goes down for free because there's no way for TAS to respond.
Yeah, misplay on the side of Jaffe though. The parry didn't come out. Either he didn't have it available or he just failed the skill check. You generally should be able to parry a Shadow Dash quite easily. If that would have happened, he probably would have killed them both there. So rough kill to give over. A lot of gold into the hands of the Xayah, who is the biggest damage threat. She's basically the only one who's comparable to her lane opponent. And Xayah is still a heavy late game scaler. If you do the entirety of the enemy team is going to be cutting into her, but if you notice her build, she's going for a Zeo item instead of getting a Lord Downs, which she's really going to need if she's ever going to kill a ramp.
He may have been waiting to hold on to the repose for the blade collar from Xayah to avoid the damage from those feathers getting yanked back, because that's where a lot of Xayah's damage is, and it would have allowed him to get a stun off as well. May not have expected to basically be rooted for as long by that Shen taunt, but either way, BBZ, that's a kill they can kind of afford to give up. I mean, it is a lot of shutdown gold going over to the side of TAS. I mean, just look at this fight now here in the mid lane. We are seeing that Tev is getting exceptionally low. He's having to flash away. The Severum is out, means he's getting a lot of damage off. Huge amount of chakrams going out now. Luzu goes on a rampage, getting the double kill.
Yeah, 0-7 Wukong does not do a lot of damage. Goes in, trades his life. Did get the flash out of Tef, so minor win in that respect. But other than that, this game is just going way too fast for any real scaling to happen. And a lot of these champions do need it quite heavily. As this should be the inhibitor opening up. Hopefully they don't take it. This is quite early in the game to take an inhibitor, but they do not actually have the Rift Herald available, so they don't have the extra push. So they should just look for this tower and then try to back off.
Yeah, they're probably going to just take this tower or go for the tower dive. It all depends on how this fight ends up breaking out. We do see that Team Azeroth doing a really good job fighting behind the objective in order to allow the tower to keep trying to hit BBZ. The advantage they have is a lot of the range on the side of BBZ is kind of close. K1ZZ getting way too aggressive and taking a lot of punishment for it. That's going to be the top lane turret going down as Fiora was just doing some work up there, I believe. The minions managed to take it out. We've got a fight going on here, and that is going to be the grand challenge coming out on the Lissandra. Lissandra's going to go into the Frozen Tomb, though, so she's going to survive for a little bit longer, but she's finally going to go down, leaving the healing zone available, and that is just going to be the rest of BBZ cleaning up that fight, and we have Tef dominating this game.
absolutely. K1ZZ just walking through the unraveled earth it was one of the strongest points of Kalia. That unravel does so much damage if you pop multiple explosions, and he took half his HP before he could even do anything. So, not really gonna set yourself up to win a good team fight there at this point. So, Team Azors is struggling to find any angle in, and with Wukong being so far behind, any threat that he would have had is really far away. The Divine Thunder hasn't even come in.
The Divine Thunder hasn't even come out exactly. And then if we're looking at this setup right now, BBZ have shoved TAS up to their baseline. And so, like, they're having to fight inside the walls of their own base, and that means that there's no minions for them to take. There's no objectives for them to try and farm to try and get back in this game. They're just so starved for gold at this point. We're seeing that the lead has extended now to 12k, and we're going to see Red take down K1ZZ right there, getting a nice bit of damage off that the field. I really don't see a way for Team Astro to be able to get off the ground.
Especially now if K1ZZ is going to be trolling like that, taunting the Rammus in front of his face in the river. Forced to flash too, so he even loses more resources other than just the kill. I mean, it is the 8th death of the game, so he's not worth much gold, but the fact that he's not here for this Baron is going to be a massive advantage for BZZ. It looks like they'll just be able to take it with no real contests.
Yeah, and this is going to be a good Baron call on the side of Blue Bayou. They're going to take it down with no contest. And so now they've got plenty of pushing power. They're just going to probably go for a 1-3-1. Now you've got Fiora in the bot side just finishing off this turret without even worrying about B-Try taunting him under turret because all of his auto attacks are just going to be so nasty anyway. And now he's K1ZZ's diving in, gets the first knockup. We see the second one coming out here shortly. Grand Challenge is out. There it is. The second knockup, but the Grand Challenge is already on the Wukong. Shen is ulting him, which is going to give Fiora a second target. This fight is just going to keep on going. We do see that K1ZZ managed to wait out the timer. He's going to have the parry blocked. Good block by Shen, but that's not going to matter as we have the rest of TAS just coming over to continue this fight. It takes 3 members of TAS to take down Fiora, and unfortunately, that just leaves all of these other objectives available for BBZ to take.
Really well played for the side of Jaffe, getting a lot of resources out. He did dodge multiple spells that kept him alive as long as he did. And yeah, as you said, a lot of resources used, and now this is 2 inhibitors just given over at 22 minutes. And this is the fight.
Nautilus getting a nice hook. The Rift Walker also getting a nice lockdown as well, and that's going to be the Frozen Tomb coming out. And we see that Hizmi's trying to stay alive as he heals up, but it's not going to be enough damage coming out. He is going to fall, and that is going to be the Baron shove into these Nexus turrets. We already see that one is halfway down. The other one is now halfway down as well. All of these members of TAS are just trying to fight for the objectives, but there's nothing that they can do as the towers just deal absolutely no damage to these minions, no damage to the champions. Gua trying to shred through this front line of BBZ in order to just stall this game out as much as possible, but is not able to. Jaffe picking up yet another double kill as the Grand Duelist just plants her flag and destroys the Nexus.
Yeah, absolutely. What do we have to say? BBZ played a fantastic game, finally getting back onto form, looking like one of their stronger performances so far. And frankly, Team Azores just didn't seem to get anything going. K1ZZ had a really rough game, going 0-10, and then the rest of his team basically fell behind from the beginning. And once Shen died level 1, there was really no recourse. It messed up top lane, it messed up jungle, and then at that point, there's no assistance for this bot lane that continuously got camped. So. You got to give BBZ credit for utilizing their advantages, but also this was a little bit of user error. Team Azores making the game a lot harder than it needed to be.
Unfortunately, they did, and they played a comp that is just not something we've seen them pull out before. It seems like they tried to go a little bit more traditional rather than their usual scrappy team fighter comp, and putting the Shen in the jungle just didn't seem to work out. Like I said, with his clear, like we mentioned, it's a little bit slower than almost every jungler in the game just because he has so much trouble dealing with those multi-monster camps. So he relies on ganks, and unfortunately, the ganks just were not able to happen. Jaffe and Tef just doing such a great job every time he was there that there was just nothing the Team Azeroth could do.
Yeah, to be behind 2 camps level 1 2 Rammus is pretty awful. So maybe hopefully this will be the last time we see Shen in the jungle, because it doesn't look playable anymore, and frankly that one looked quite rough.
It looks like it requires a certain setup in order to actually be able to get pulled off. With that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break, though. We will be right back, so stick around.
I'ma have to bust it. I'ma have to bust it. Bust it. I'ma have to bust it. I'ma have to bust it.
Hello, folks, and welcome back. Shargan here on the interview desk, and I have joining me today BBZ's jungler, Dax, who is doing some work on that armadillo, just kind of running all around, spinning all over the place. You were just basically a little speedy boy on that map, weren't you?
Yeah, it was a fun game to get ahead on the Ramus, or the Ramus, as I like to say. In our
The
team.
Ramus. You gotta roll that R.
Exactly.
All right, well, so just give me kind of like a rundown really fast of what your kind of objective was going into this draft against TAS.
I think our draft actually kind of got a little bit shadowed. We were kind of hoping to pick the Amumu and get some practice on that, but they banned it. So we kind of just shifted to counter what they picked early on in the draft, and from there, we just kind of felt comfortable with the comp that we got after our original 3 picks, and that allowed me to pick Ramus. And I always like picking Ramus 4th because I think Ramus isn't necessarily a pick you want to do blind.
Right.
But when you are able to counter into a lot of auto attackers or AD, it's pretty free.
It is pretty free, especially when you have a Zaya Rakan on the other enemy team. I feel like that's just a really good thing for Ramus to want to go into. I do want to ask you about this situation with Jaffe. So, like, every time he comes out, he's always on some kind of dueler or split pusher and just seems to kind of wreck it in top lane. So, do you just basically ignore top and focus on bot?
I wouldn't say I basically do that, but there are a few games where we go into the game and I say, Jaffe, you're on an island, but we know it's going to be a Jaffe diff anyways, and so I just go bot. And that does happen in some games, so I can't say you're wrong.
Can't say I'm wrong. That's true. All right. So with that, it's kind of like I think you've got I think next week's game is going to be versus HBK and Fraud Squad. So of those 2 matches, who do you think is going to be what's going to be the biggest challenge you have versus HBK?
I think against HBK, it's not losing the early game macro to them. I think that if they are able to make a play on our team and make a play that gets either them even trades when we're making plays on the map, it could be a dangerous game. But otherwise, I think it's going to be another 2 a week for us going into the end of the split for us.
Well, if it's going to be a 2 a week that week, what about the last week?
Last week with the UV game, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about that. We kind of just had some macro mistakes in the mid game, but it was a pretty good game. I feel like the UV game showed a lot of BBZ's current strengths because we were getting a lot of trade kills just in 2v2s and 1v1s across the map, but we kind of lost in the 5v5 in the mid game, which I think going into playoffs we've already made substantial improvements on in terms of game plan and prep. I think UV's kind of just that threat that BBZ is definitely looking to beat, but I think we know we can beat them if we execute the plan as we want to play the game. So
they are definitely the faker on top of Mount Targon in this league for sure. So I have to say, Dax, thank you so much for doing the interview. Greatly appreciate it. Good showing today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, it was a super fun game.
You are very welcome. You got anything you want to say before I let you go?
No, I don't have anything to say other than it was a great okay game for Ramus.
For Ramus, that it was. All right, folks, with that, we're going to take a quick break. We will be right back. Don't go away. We got the last game of the day, which is going to be Universal Basic Income versus Skill Based. So stick around.